All right, welcome to another edition of the Social Proof Podcast. And this is so ill because I get to do my podcast in y'all podcast studio.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
You on the road?
Has this ever happened before?
You are nope.
First. We haven't even been featured on too many podcasts. So
Really?
This is dope. Yeah.
Like
maybe
Are you serious?
two?
Like
two or three.
Yeah. So you,
Well, this is insane.
It's all good. Nah, it's all good.
Yes. Okay. Cool. I get to be the first. Not the first, but y'all, Social Proof Podcast. We interview people who have actually accomplished something, and because they did it, they can show other people the way. And we have an amazing story of the regular person becoming successful. And obviously, success is relative, but like two people who had an idea and was like, yo, I'm not worried about making millions. I'm not focused on making six figures, but we are going to do something impactful. And we got the gentlemen, the CEOs, founders of Earn Your Leisure, man. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
What's going on?
Shout out to you.
Y'all's story is awesome. So if y'all could just kind of just introduce yourselves individually and kind of how EYL started.
Yeah, I am Troy. I am an educator, global educator now. They gave me a new title. I'm a global educator. And my partner is I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, Rashad, co-founder.
Yeah, co-founder.
Earn Your Leisure.
Yeah, it was kind of an idea that like really springboarded off of his social media campaign that he was doing. He was just starting his financial advising career, and I became his first client. And he saw something in social media like, yo, I want to be that guy for social media. I want to help teach finance. And so I was doing a summer program. And I would ask him to come in like, yo, I need financial literacy in this program because it was like I teach and I know that that's not being taught in school. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is a natural fit. And when I approached him, he was like, nah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. Like, I don't like school. And I know he didn't like school. So I'm like, I bet, look, I'll write the lessons. You just come in and like just be the face for it. And he was like, all right, we'll do that. Mm-hmm. And then like after the first year, he was like, yo, he really liked it. And then he just started coming back to his own. So you put a
program together?
Yeah, we have a summer program that we run. And then he came there and did it. And then after a while, it was like I wasn't creating lessons anymore. Like he started doing it himself. Like he really saw that was gaining traction.
Was there a bag in it? Was the school paying?
Nah, he was just doing it out of love for me. Yeah. Like we was making like a little bit of change, but like he was just coming in on the strength. Like every Monday afternoon, he'd come in. I'm like, yo, what you think you want to do? And like the kids would love it because it was like that was their first time. They're 14-year-old kids. It was their first time coming in contact with money. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to teach them about the importance of it because it was like maybe $300, $400. But at 14, that's a lot of money, right? For sure. You know, and that's right before summer. That's right before school starts. So, it was like back to school shopping. Mm-hmm. So they got a little bit of money. And it was like, nah, before you spend, let's learn the value of it.
For sure.
And then you want to talk about the Instagram?
Yeah. So and then the Instagram started. So I wanted to kind of be a financial guy on Instagram and build my own personal page. Mm-hmm. From my experience in business, and one of my friends, Mike, who's another one of our partners, lives in Atlanta. We was in LA a few years ago, like 3 years ago, I think, yep. And we put together a campaign for me to, grow my Instagram, and that started to pick up a lot of traction. But from Instagram, a lot of people were asking for like extended dialogues. I started doing like a lot of clips, like 1 minute clips, kind of breaking down.
How are you doing them though?
It was a lot of like interviews that I was doing, and I was chopping them up. Mm-hmm. And it was like, but it was different because it was like the financial backstories of sports entertainment. So like I broke down the 50 cent vitamin water deal.
That's a big one.
And different stuff like that I was always interested in sports entertainment and business. So I kind of used that as like the Trojan horse to get my message across in business. Mm-hmm. And people really gravitated towards that. And that 50 cent clip like kind of went viral. And then I did one with like Jim Jones. And
how'd you connect with these people?
No, I was just talking about them. I was just telling the stories.
Oh, so you were just telling the story.
Yeah.
So it's like CNN for the
fight.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So it was like it became like a street, like
right.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. So I was telling a story about diplomats and how they did the commercial with Supreme for the T-shirts and how Supreme blew up off of that, and so it was a lot of stories like that, and people really liked it. And then they kept asking for like extended dialogue, and then people kept asking for like a podcast, mm-hmm. like. You should do a podcast. So I'm like, all right, well, Troy, I speak to him every day anyway. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, you want to be my partner? You want to start a podcast? And,
literally right here, like downstairs in this house. He was like, we were working out. He's like, yo, you want to do a podcast? And I was like, all right, yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah, seriously, like, that's it.
So what was the plan? So you're a finance guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was the business plan or the financial structure?
Nah, we didn't have anything like that. Honestly, the podcast was really just to continue to keep growing my own personal brand. Yeah. And we just you know, we didn't really look at we didn't even understand how podcasts can make money or anything like that. We just
Zero.
It's like it's something to do. We didn't start the podcast with like a plan as a business.
Right.
Yeah.
It just evolved into that because it just became wildly popular, and then from there we realized, okay, this is actually something that's viable. We can, you know, turn it into a real business, and then the other stuff started to come off of that. But honestly, when we started it, we had no expectations. We never really listened to any podcast before, outside of Drink Champs occasionally. So we didn't even understand how podcasts work, like how to structure it or anything like that, which I think kind of worked in our advantage because it was really original. We wasn't following anybody because we had nobody to follow.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why the first time we met and you were like, yo, did you guys ever think it wouldn't work? And I was like, yo, that's the first time I ever thought of that when you said it. Because it was like, we just was like, yo, we're just going to do it.
Because there was no expectation.
Yeah, we had zero. Like he said, like we've never listened to any real podcast for a substantial amount of time. We didn't know where to place them. We just like, all right. We didn't even know how to record them. Yeah. Like we literally like, yo, we got to find somebody. Like, we got to get mics. We didn't have anything. All we had was the idea, and we had the name. Even the name, we were like kind of battling for it because he had came up with we came up with a hashtag for him. Like we was like, yo, let's build his campaign.
What was that hashtag?
So the hashtag was Earn Your Leisure.
Earn Your Leisure was the hashtag originally, and that is crazy.
Did you say you thought he thought it was whack or something?
It's
like
a fact. So we were building his thing. Like I was like, it's my brother, so let's support him. He was like, yo, I need a hashtag for my campaign. I'm like, yo, I got one. I was like, yo, Earn Your Leisure. And he was like, nah, that's whack. I'm like, nah, it's dope because especially like here where we live, like people see us, they've watched us grow up. They see us have nice cars. We have, you know, we're around a lot of pretty women. We have these big like cookouts. We throw parties here. Like people just think it's all good. They don't realize how hard we work. They don't know like this guy doesn't sleep at night. They don't know like I'm working 2 jobs, going to school at night, right? And like raising a family at the same time. It's like they don't see that part of it. They just see like, yo, these guys are balling. So it was like, no, we earned this freedom. We earned this leisure. So I was like, yeah, let's use that. He was like, nah. And then our partner, Mike, he told him, he was like, yo, that's it. We should use that. And I never he came back the next day. He's like, yeah, I'm going to use that.
I mean, but even that, it's like a lot of times in business and just life in general, it's like we overcomplicate things. And like, it's good to just get people's reaction. Because like when I started using the hashtag Earn Your Leisure, and really people started copying it. Other people started using Earn Your Leisure. And then like, I remember like one of my friends in Florida, he contacted me like, what's Earn Your Leisure? Like, is that like a network marketing group? Like people was hitting me up like, yo, is this like something I could be a part of? I'm like, no, it's just a hashtag. And even after like people was like, yo, this is dope. Like people were telling me like, yo, I like Earn Your Leisure. Like I like the hashtag. Like that's an original hashtag. And I still didn't really like it. So I stopped using it for like months. And then one of my friends, we was working out one day. He's like, yo, well, Earn Your Leisure. I don't see that anymore. I'm like, you liked it? He's like, that was dope. Like you should start using it. I'm like, all right. So I started using it again. So I just started using it. So then we started the name for the podcast. So I wanted it to be called Money, Power, Respect.
Yeah.
I wanted to call Money, Power, Respect.
Oh, so that's where the hashtag. So y'all blended both ideas because I saw that initially. It was Money, Power, Respect. I haven't seen it. Y'all still use that?
No, I don't think we ever used it.
Because I know I saw that on a flyer or something like that. On the bottom, it said like I thought it was Money, Power, Respect. Maybe
no, Money Plays. It probably the Money Plays behind Sports Entertainment.
Yeah. But yeah, so
that was his. The Money, Power, Respect.
Money,
was
Power,
his.
Respect. I thought that was a dope name, but then it's somebody else's name already, and then like copyrights and all that. So we ain't really. So he's like, yo, we already have Earn Your Leisure. You've been using it for months. Nobody has ever used it ever. It's an original thing. So I'm like, all right, well, let's just go Earn Your Leisure. And it was crazy because even with that, it's like so people look at like the emoji thing that we have. That's like our thing. So people hit us up all the time like, yo, who's your artist that did this for you? And I did that on the iPhone.
Right,
like we was like, all right, so we got a name, so now we got to come up with like a slogan, like a picture. So I downloaded an app for words, like to fonts. So I was just playing around with different fonts, and then I found the font. I think it's like Friday the 13th is the name of the font, and I'm like, this is dope. So that was the font that we used.
Yeah.
So
and
no
then,
graphic designer.
iPhone.
And then for the picture, I'm just like playing around with the emoji app. I'm like, let me see how this will look. So I did my face emoji, his face emoji.
Yep.
And then we just used that font that I used from Friday the 13th app. And that was how we came up with
I still have the text message. Like
thing,
I'm like, yo, damn, that looks like me.
Really?
Yeah, I still have the text. Yeah, straight
so
up.
you built it for him.
Yeah,
he made my emoji.
Yeah, I made it for him.
Yeah.
Because I was doing, like I said, I was doing it. I'm like, we got to have this done. So I did it. I made his emoji, my emoji, and I did the font. And
Is that the first time you did something like that?
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever, yeah.
And we was just, literally the next day, we were like, all right, let's just put this out. And we just put it out. Like, yo, this is coming next week. Be on the lookout.
Yo, do not overthink it.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing you could do is just take action. And you was like, you didn't wait for a graphic designer, a logo designer, pay somebody $500.
Exactly. It's like Maxwell always say, like when he came in, he saw like where we filming at here, and he was like, I like you guys even more because it's about taking imperfect action. And at that time, we were still using we started off using iPhones to record. And like,
nah, straight up,
so,
it was his phone, my phone, and then we just have another person come in. Like we could call you, like, yo, bro, you come to my house real quick. Like, yo, we need another phone.
Yeah,
we record, airdrop it, and put it out.
What was you doing for the audio?
We had mics. We had the mics got drastically better too. The first mics we had was shotgun mics. If anybody's familiar, those are not the best mics. So we had shotgun mics at first, and then we brought other mics. So now we at this point, but we was on the road buying mics. Like in LA, we interviewed Al Harrington in LA, and we had to buy mics out there, and the sound got all messed up and distorted.
It was ill. We went to Guitar Center. We literally Google mapped Guitar Center Hollywood. How fast can we get there? Because we had to go interview him. We went, bought mics. We bought the wrong chords. So when we put the mics to the chords, he sounded amazing. We sounded terrible. We were like, yo, we had no idea, literally no idea. And we were like, yo, why does it sound so bad? And then we didn't, obviously, that is the reason we found out about XLR chords. And it was like, oh, now. So people were rocking with the content, even though it was sounding bad. They was like, yo, it's just good content.
Y'all
let's rock with them.
To where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Stumbled up.
Yeah, just kept going. Like I said, we didn't really think about all right, we're not doing this the best way because we didn't have a reference point to even say we're not doing it the best way. It's just all right, we're just learning as we go and just keep expanding. So now we got lights. We didn't have any lights. We didn't have anything. We just started with some shotgun mics and iPhones. And
it's crazy.
Somebody Googling right now, how to start a podcast, and they're comparing the 10 different mics and the perfect cameras and the perfect lighting. Yeah. And y'all you got an iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's rock.
Now that analysis paralysis stops people from doing a lot of different things in life. And it's you studying, you trying to have it perfect, but it's never going to be perfect. Just start it and then just figure it out as you go.
Yeah, I told you that before. It was we had episodes where the mics weren't even working. I've sat here without the mic working. I'm just I'm just going to talk louder so it picks up on the other team. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, we sometimes we'll have episodes where a camera angle's not even there. My phone had too much pictures. I couldn't store anything else. You know what I'm saying? Crazy, gosh. But nobody ever sees that because we're just all right, we're just going to put the product out.
And one of our guests said one time as well, is for people that's just starting out, it's take your time improving your quality because you can't go down. If you start off with the best video and it's it looks like Spike Lee produced it, you can't go down to an iPhone, but you can always go up. So it's your quality, people will give you leeway with your quality as long as the content is good. And I think that's people who don't understand. They focus too much on, I say this all the time, to me, content is much more important than quality.
For sure.
It's even our Instagram clips now. I use an app called Vont. It's $2. People ask me all the time, how do you put captions on? It's it costs $2 in the app store. It's not the best look. People got way more fancier videos, but our videos get way more views because it's good content. Yeah. Wow. So it's take your time with. That'll come as you have more money, but focus on the content and just, keep building it out. You don't have to have the most perfect product right away.
And be consistent.
Fast forward, how many subscribers do you have? Give me some of the numbers behind the success of your podcast.
Yeah,
so I would start with the game changer was for us. And again, we didn't know. I think we had put an episode out early, in April of last year, and it went on to number 8 in the iTunes charts for podcasts. And at that point, I don't even think we even know there was a chart. So people were hitting us yo, you're in the chart, you're in the chart. I'm like, what chart is that? And we were like, oh, there's a chart for podcasts? And we're in the top 10? So.
Whoa.
And that was crazy.
Hold on. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, go, keep going.
Yeah, so that's when it was all right, now we need to lock in on numbers. So fast forward, right now we on, and we weren't even on YouTube at that point, but right now we have 63,000 YouTube subscribers. We have about 30,000 listens per episode on audio.
2 million downloads per audio.
Yeah, 2 million overall.
Total audio downloads.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
All right, so how did we get there? Because you start iPhone, how did we get there? Was there a genius behind your marketing play? And maybe you did something and you didn't realize how genius it was until later.
Now, the marketing play was just a carryover from my Instagram page, which my Instagram page at the time, So we had an advantage because like we didn't just start from anywhere. Like I had around 30, 40,000 followers on Instagram, my own personal Instagram page before, when we started Earn Your Leisure. So that obviously helped it because it's like, okay, now we starting a podcast. So I could direct followers from my personal page to Earn Your Leisure's page. So that helped. And then from Earn Your Leisure, it was the same blueprint that for social media. Social media has really like been our driving factor and word of mouth. We haven't spent any money on ads and we haven't really had any press. So
no, none
at all.
Well, one we had Black Enterprise wrote about us
once. So yeah, we just our thing is like original content and it's thinking outside the box. So we a lot of our clips just started going viral because we were telling different stories. Like it's a business podcast, but we telling backstories of sports entertainment and we like breaking down, doing case studies. This is before we even started interviewing people. And people really gravitated towards that because it's like for people to get financial information from us, it's like we're just regular people. We're not, the most polished as far as how we talk. We didn't go to Harvard, but it's more appealing because they feel like they're in a barbershop, right? Yeah. And it's like the things that we're talking about is like they find it interesting. It's not like, okay, invest your money with me. We're not selling anything. We're just like reporters reporting information in a way that they can understand and digest it. And financial literacy is huge right now, especially in our community. So I think it was just a matter of just good timing, good content. The stars just kind of aligned for us. And then our play, which was just really different from what anybody else on social media was doing. Because there's a lot of pages on social media, especially like Black pages that deal with finances and wealth. But our thing was a little different and it was more broad ranging. And I think it's just kind of one of those things. Sometimes you just, hit lightning in a bottle. And social media is just really just explain. Like now we had 200,000 Instagram followers and that's in 1 year. So all of that's just been, just like steamrolling. And then people see the clips on Instagram, then they go to YouTube and then they tell their friends and it's become like a real underground hit.
It's pretty big. And Derek Ferguson, one of our former guests was like, yo, you guys are in a white space. And this is a guy who's been around Puff for Ciroc and been around Puff for Sean John and the Bad Boy era. And he was like, yo, y'all just in a white space. Like, nobody's doing what you're doing. Like, sometimes you just catch lightning in a bottle. Like, nobody's been able to talk about finance, add hip-hop and sports into it.
Yeah, white space, it's not a racial thing. Yeah. White space means, like, when you hit, like, the white hot.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, when something is really at its hottest point, it's white. So it's like when you hit that white space, it's like you're in a space, you're in a vibe where nobody else is in. Like you're in your own. You're in your
and there
own
might
lane.
be people in our lanes, just that we didn't see it because, like I said, we didn't listen to anybody. So like that white space, it was like when he said that to us, we were just like, all right, we might be on something because this guy's been around super successful ideas and super successful people. It was like. He was like, whatever I need to do to help y'all, I'm willing because this is it. Y'all have something here. Right. And so that was like super encouraging because it was like, all right, let's just keep going. And then just being consistent. Like every single day is like we had a routine. Like I know I'm going to wake up, I'm going to read, I'm going to find something, I'm going to send it to Shadi. He going to put his magic on it. He going to put it out to the world. And then every day we do that. So it's like when people, I had this conversation with somebody in LA. I was like, yo, we become the news for our culture because like people are they're not going to the traditional outlets. They're not watching ABC News or they're not watching Good Morning America. They're going to Instagram and if they want to find something out, they're hitting us up. So we take that like super responsibly because it's like, all right, well, we want to report things that I know that our culture is looking for. Yeah. So somebody told us we the Rosetta Stone of financial literacy. So like I'm running with that.
You know what I think the gift was that you guys weren't studying and watching podcasts to be able to find something different. Because I think sometimes you watch people for so long. Like there's some people that like are huge Gary Vee fans, right? They watch Gary Vee all the time, and when they start to speak, it sounds just like Gary Vee. Not that they're trying to emulate him, but
you're going to be naturally influenced.
Oh, for sure.
That
for
works.
Sure. Like you could tell some people that have been watching ET for years because when they present, it's the same thing, right? And it's maybe they're trying to do it differently, but they've been so indoctrinated in this one message that it comes out unoriginal.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because it's like me, I feel like I could see people like even taking influence for us and like, it's dope. But it's like, so like when I first started like writing, I was doing like, here's how. That was like a thing. It was like, here's how. That was like I would write it. And then I just seen a bunch of people start putting here's how, like here's how, like, you know what I mean, I'm
You're
like,
an influencer. That's the definition of influencer.
Nah, it's crazy. Then I saw CNN put here's how on one of their things. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. So then we started. I started like with people to come on the podcast, spice it up. So it was like a whole lead up. So like the day before the podcast, I would write articles on the people, and it's like, entrepreneur goes from living with his mother to making $100,000, and now everybody writes those kind of articles. It's like you see like couple travels the world, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's like, all right, whatever. Huh?
Did you start that
for the podcast?
For the podcast, bro, definitely.
So,
and people just grab it like.
And then we started doing Instagram lives, and then now people do Instagram lives to promote. I didn't see anybody doing that to even like assets over liabilities. Like when I drew up the idea for assets over liabilities, I was telling Mike, our partner, and I'm like, I want.
Did you make that design too?
Yeah.
No, the name.
No, the design.
Not the design.
Yeah. Oh yeah, over. Yeah.
Because he was like,
you didn't do that on your phone, bro.
Nah, I just did that in my head. But I told he didn't want to do that. Mike, he was like, no, it should be different. It should be assets over. I'm like, no, it should be a line with over. So when I saw somebody else do that, I'm like, that's an original idea that actually came out of my brain that somebody else actually copied, and it's like, it's crazy, but it's flattering at the same time. But one thing I remember, like the Here's How, one of our guests and a good friend of mine, ours, Valencia Clay, and she's real big on Instagram. And she was telling me, I'm like, yo, they took Here's How, like, you know what I'm saying? Because that was actually her idea, and she brought it to me, and I kind of like reworked it. I'm like, and she's like, yo, just think of something else. Like, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
They can't copy your brain.
Yeah.
So it's like, I see that a lot in social media, and I think that that's one of the mistakes. That's my whole point, is like, you have to be original. And I think that's one of the reasons that Earn Your Leisure is successful, because we're original. We're not copying anybody. And I feel like a lot of people are not original. Yeah. And it's like, you can only go so far by taking somebody else's blueprint. Like if we try to do a show with champagne and drinks, it's like, Nori already has drink champs.
They're going to know that.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
you can't fake authenticity.
Yeah, it's like, it's already been done. So what we're doing has never been done. And that's worked for us. Like what works for you might be eating Doritos and talking in the high chair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sure. Like, you got to find your own lane. And I think originality is extremely underrated in this day and age.
Yeah, it's encouraging too, because it's like, even when we see that, it's like, well, people are waking up and they're trying. You know what I mean? Like when we see podcasts, especially even in our neighborhood, like we see people creating podcasts. We see people creating their own clothing line. It's like, that wasn't happening before this, which is dope, because it's like, all right, well, they have the vision now. Their parameters of where they can be in life have risen, like, and it's dope. So we're just uplifting everybody, and we're learning from people and uplifting ourselves at the same time. So, sure. You know, it's encouraging. It's still encouraging.
Yeah. So the $1 million question is, how do you make money from a podcast? That's what I want to know. Like me personally. So like, I know y'all listening, but this is a question for me. So how do you make money from a podcast?
You want to start with the ads?
It's a bunch of different ways. So we have ads on audio. So like audio outlets, you have like Spotify and Apple. Those are like the two biggest ones, but there's a bunch of them: Podbean, Sketcher, Anchor, all of them. So you can put ads in your audio segments. You have to do it yourself? So we use Anchor, which is our host for the podcast. Like, they distribute our podcast to like all of the different outlets. So it's like YouTube, where the commercial just comes in, or you have to actually put it in your podcast. You manually put it in, but they give it to you. Anchor. So that's one of the things with Anchor is like they give you ads. They take like 30%, I think. They take 30%, and then the podcast host gets 70%. You can get ads on yourself outside of that. Like let's say you want to sponsor the podcast, right? We broke it down. We get 100% of that. But anything that they bring to the table, then they get 30 and we get 70.
And we with that, and that's the crazy part is like the show had segments, but it originally didn't have segments. The only reason we put segments.
No, it originally had segments, but
because
we did that for that.
For the ads, because it was like Spotify was like, yo, we have 2 ads, and like they send it to you. We got to read them and put them in. But it was like, how do we put them in? All right, well, we'll make segments for the episodes, and that's where the ads will go. So now when we have 3 segments, it's like, oh, it's super intentional, because it's like those are ad placements. You know what I'm saying? So like even with the ads, there's something called a CPM. So the CPM is just how much money they're going to give you per 1,000 listens. So like for the average audio is probably like $20. So every $20 per 1,000 plays, gotcha. Right? So you get 20,000 plays, you make $200. Right? So like knowing that, I was like, all right, that's cool. let's get a bunch of ads, right? So if that was one, let's try to get 3 ads on the episode, because now it's not $20 anymore. Now it's 60, right? You see what I'm saying?
Bro, I was wondering why y'all did the segments. Because I do podcasts, and I'm like, why don't they just segue into another question?
The segments, and the crazy thing is like the segment actually, because it's like, I like to think of it like 60 minutes. The show 60 minutes, where it's like if you ever watch 60 minutes, it's 3 different segments and it's 3 different topics. So that kind of came by accident, because like you said, we had to put the ads in. So we like, all right, we got to put 2. We got to make room for 2 ads, 3 ads, but 1 can go at the beginning. The other 2 have to go in the middle. So it's like, all right, let's just break the show into 3 segments. And then we realized, all right, since it's 3 segments, we might as well be talking about 3 different things. Like before we had a guest, it was 3 completely different things. So that's another thing that is kind of like our trademark, but that was really an accident. It only happened because we had to make room for ads.
The first episode we shot, it was like 45 minutes, and we had to listen to it and like, all right, let's stop it there. But it was like unnatural. It was like, oh, wait, where'd the episode just go? And then it became like, all right, so the next segment. And so now when you hear it's like next segment, it's that ad break.
Okay, so we are going to go to the next segment of the
That's
genius.
That's just the audio. Brilliant. And then from that audio, I mean, just the audio, when we put that out on YouTube, YouTube's another source of income, because like now those same ads, there's ads on the visuals, and the beauty of YouTube is that the CPMs are much higher. So like the average, like
what
I said,
CPM?
That's cost for what they're gonna pay per 1,000.
I'm not sure I'm not sure what it stands for.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the actual acronym, but what it breaks down to is how much they're gonna pay you per 1,000 views or listens. So YouTube, the average changes, right? Like your video could get $70 per 1,000.
We got $100 CPM.
Yeah, we had $112 CPM once for an episode. So imagine if that episode now does 100,000 views and you're getting $70 per 1,000. You see what I'm saying? Like that could add up.
And the good thing with YouTube is that you have way more chance of going viral. Like we know we're gonna get 30,000, 25,000 listens per episode on audio right now, and we're growing. But YouTube, you might have one episode that gets like 5,000 views, but another episode might get 180,000 because it hits the algorithm and it just goes to
out of here.
My bad.
And who pays more? Who pays more, the podcast platform or YouTube?
Well, we put more episodes out. We get more ads on, so that's consistent. Like eventually, YouTube will, as we put more content out, and we break out. And we've been doing that this year, 2020. It's like we just put smaller content because we saw the duration time for people that viewed it on YouTube was like 22 minutes. But if our episodes are 60 minutes and you're only watching 22, that means you've missed some of it. So now, like when we put out the smaller segments, it's like, all right, well, that was a third segment that you might have missed. And people just gravitate toward that. Like we put out a clip with Al Harrington that we did in April, and people were like, yo, that's amazing. Yo, he needs his own episode. And we're like, yeah, he does have his own episode. That just shows. It's like sometimes people gravitate toward things at a different time.
I think YouTube has more scalability than audio. But those are 2 ways. Then merch, we sell merch.
Yeah. Okay. So what is Stitcher? Is the
Anchor.
So Anchor is where you get one vertical of Anchor because they'll insert the ad. Well, you insert the ads and and how did they contact you? Like, yo, we got another one. Here's the ad.
They just put it on the app. So like on the app, like you get notified. Like we got a new ad for you.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And then you got to read the script, and then you say if you want the ad or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You read the script, and then they you place it in.
You ever turn any down?
I don't think so. It'd be crazy. Like he'll text me like, "Yo, we got an ad." It'll be like 4:00 on a Tuesday, and our episodes come out at 5. He's like, "Yo, we got to get that ad out." I'm like, "Yo, I'm driving from school." He's like, let's get the ad out." I'm like, "I literally will come here and like shoot it real quick, and then like it'll be on the episode the next time." So it's like we don't want to waste any time because we know like, yo, the first day of an episode being dropped, we know that's gonna be the highest rush. So like if we know there's gonna be about 10 to 15,000 people listening to that first day, I want to have that ad on it. So if they put it out at 4:45, I need that ad on there before 5.
How much do you think you made, or how much would you charge somebody to run an ad on an episode?
Right now, I think it's between $600 and $700 an episode if you want to do a one-off.
Yeah.
Does that happen often?
Yeah, but most of the campaigns, most times we get campaign like we get somebody to do like 10 episodes or 12 episodes. People don't really do one-offs too much. Most of the time, it's like 10. Like Spotify and Anchor, we've been locked in for like a year, where those ads run consistently. Then we have other ads that are running for like a couple weeks, 6 weeks,
Yeah.
or they'll do like 10 episodes, 12 episodes, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's a real thing. So like we used to say like, yo, it's an EYL effect. And we were just talking about social media. Like we spoke about some of the people who come on and their social media growth will grow after an episode. And we were like, yo, it's an EYL effect. And it was like, no, this is a real thing. Because like now when we do an ad for a business, they come back like, listen, we want to stay on. Like, yo, I've got so many clients just from being on the episode. If somebody heard you promote us, it was like, all right, this is a real thing.
Wow.
And then now we started to offer affiliate links too for like people that's coming on selling stuff on the podcast, courses and things of that nature. Like we have affiliate link, where we can get a percentage off of that too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And then we got Patreon.
Okay, yeah, I was definitely about to get to that. Hold on, let's hold that one because I want to get into the merch. So first we got one vertical, the audio. We got YouTube and then merch.
Yep.
So
Merch.
How does that work?
So I mean,
Like it's just obviously you got a loyal following and they
Yeah.
pop up. Or?
Yeah, when we go to anywhere we go, we give out, we sell the merch, and in most episodes we have the merch on. So people see that and they just want to support. Like they like the slogan, they like the logo, they buy into us. They're like, yo, that's dope, and so like they'll wear it. So when we go to a city, people will have their shirts on, like just out of love for us. You know what I'm saying? So we try to create new merch and we try to create slogans that people like. They're gonna learn something, right? The most important thing in our community is like what you wear. You know what I'm saying? The first thing people look at is what you wear. Like when you came in, I was like, yo, I just watched the video. You had that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like if they're gonna look and we know that, let's give them something to learn from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was super intentional.
Okay, so the next one is Patreon. So talk to me about Patreon.
Yeah, we kind of stumbled upon that, man. Like somebody hit us in the messages and was like, yo, y'all got a Patreon? And I text Shai like, yo, you ever heard of Patreon? And he was like, nah. I'm like, I'm about to look into this. And I found out it was like almost not a crowdfunding campaign, but like a way to support creatives. And so we created a Patreon page with like giving people extra episodes, giving them the audio before it came out, giving them bonus clips, and people just kind of liked it. And in addition to that, depending on what they joined at, which tier, we had different tiers, they could talk to us.
Give me the tiers. Give me the tiers.
So we had
numbers behind it.
So we had the first tier was $2, and it was just like you get the audio before.
And it's all recurring?
Yeah. Every week we put it out. So like Tuesday an episode will come out. Patreon gets it on Monday afternoon or Monday morning. So they've heard it. So like sometimes they be like, yo, that episode was dope. And like, I'm like, how you hear it? And like, oh, now I'm on Patreon. I'm like,
Right.
Yeah, all right.
But they're like $2 a month.
Yeah, $2 a month. $2 a month.
Oh, the tiers is what the tiers is.
So it's tier. There's the first tier. And the tiers are all hip hop. So like I think it's like tier 1 is like something like that has to do with hip hop, like maybe the Blueprint tier. No, Blueprint tier is the last tier. But then you had a $5 tier where now you get bonus clips. So like how we did an episode and there's content there that doesn't make it, we put the extra on Patreon. So people like seeing that. And then the next tier was like the $25 tier, and we were like, yo, people want to call us and talk to us for a half hour just to pick our brain. So like that became a tier in addition to everything you got. Plus they got a discount on the merch.
Gotcha. And you got some people that are on that monthly and you talk to them every month.
Right. And then we had the $100 tier where it was like, now we have a conversation for an hour. And so from that, this is crazy. Like people were starting to use that as a business strategy. They were like, yo, I want to get in contact with these guys. I want to pitch this idea to them. For like example, Brandon Mitchell, he joined Patreon at $100. He knew we had to call him. So when he called us, he had this amazing idea. Like we were talking about having a consultation firm, and he like pitched this idea. I'm like, yo, he has what we want. Like we should figure out how to partner with this guy. Long story short, he becomes our business partner now from that $100 call.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
What's his name?
Brandon Mitchell.
Gotcha,
so Brand Resumes is his company, and it's new age, man. Like this kid is a 23-year-old genius. He creates LinkedIn profiles, does resumes for college and career professionals, revamps their whole thing, and then has software that will put it on job boards for you. So we were like, nah, we need to get this guy on our team.
That's crazy.
And from that Patreon, he became part of our team.
So you got about 4 verticals there.
So we got live events too.
Yeah.
So live events is what we do now.
Sheesh.
The live podcast workshop. So that's an in-person experience, and the live podcast is dope because people like the podcast. But when we do the live podcast, we have it like catered and it's open bar. And it's a networking event. So that's usually like on a Saturday, and then on a Sunday we have a workshop like we did at your space. And that's when we bring like different people that's been on the seminar on the workshop on to then give like seminars. And it's like, you know, a half an hour presentation, like Alex Good Energy will talk about trucking and things of that nature. And so, yeah, those are live events. That's a revenue stream. And then also we have our online university, EYO University. EYO University is a more expanded platform of learning. The playoff of the podcast, weekly classes, and it's Zoom. So it's like you get to interact with the instructor
often?
every week.
Every week.
Yeah. So
how much is that?
$29 a month.
Yeah. So like we said, like we started saying EYL alumni. Like the people would come on would be alumni because they were like, yo, people would comment like, yo, I'm learning so much from y'all. This is like school. This is better than college. I'm learning so much. I'm in an MBA program. I'm learning more from y'all. So we were just like, yeah, all right, cool. This is cool. So then we just said, yo, EYO University. And it wasn't a site before we said it, but then it started to make sense. Like, yo, we should actually have courses where people learn.
Gotcha.
So that everybody, you're alumni.
Oh,
you
so no doubt. We out here.
So it was like, all right. So then we reached to our alumni, like, hey, you interested in teaching a course like on this Wednesday? And so they're like, of course. Like, I'll help y'all out. Y'all help me out. And so, like, the alumni became the professors.
That's ill, bro. And, you know, I think a lot of people, when they start a podcast, it's like, yo, I'm going to do the podcast, and I'm going to try to get some sponsors. And, I mean, that's how we think. We got to get somebody to pay for it, but you guys are, like, thinking past the podcast and how the podcast can be a centerpiece for so much more, but you're driving everybody through the podcast.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Some mothership.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got like two more questions because we got to head to the airport. First off, thank y'all for being here, and we don't want to spill the beans before social proof because y'all giving out like the whole game right now.
Yeah.
But how do you select the people who you invite to the podcast?
I'll give you the easy answer. I tell them call Shotty.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a set formula. I get that question a lot, and a lot of people want to be on the podcast. It's really just, honestly, bro, it's just a gut feeling. You know, I try to talk to people on the phone. I look for stories that are interesting in different fields that we haven't covered. Try to like keep it diverse. Then you kind of check the temperature on their personality, if they can articulate their message well. But it's really no set formula. It's really just, you know, it's so broad ranging that anybody could be a good guest as long as they have information and they're willing to give that information and they're willing to, you know, deliver it in a manner that people can understand.
What about people who have information but they ain't really apply it just yet? You know, it's a bunch of coaches who haven't really built anything, but they sound really good in the presentation.
I mean, yeah, we look for people that actually have like businesses,
right?
They can actually, you know what I'm saying? Right. Actually, talk about, and yeah, that's kind of the formula. Like, it's really no set formula of like you have to have, because some of our best guests have no social media presence at all. Yeah, and so you can't really. Of course, that helps if somebody has a following. People, you know, brings awareness, but we don't use that as the metrics. We don't use even the most successful person. Like, you could be somebody that's just starting out and have a great story and have a backstory. So it just depends. It really just depends. But yeah, it's a lot of pressure now because people want to go on.
Give me like a life-changing moment in a podcast interview, because obviously we do it for work where you're interviewing people, but give me one moment where like somebody said something and it changed everything for you.
There's two that I could think of, because obviously we shoot in my house, and I think when Matt came on, it was like episode 12, and he was talking about buying the dream home and how people have it reverse engineered, where we buy the dream home and then now we can't have any more homes because we get everything toward what we wanted, right, or what we could afford. And he broke down this 4-3-2-1. He was like, you know, you buy a multifamily, and from the rental income from that, you get the 3-unit, then you get the 2-unit, then you actually buy your dream home. And I'm sitting in my house like, damn, that make a lot of sense.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but then even the FHA loans from that episode, like, it was like I had just gone through that process. So I'm like, yo, this is powerful stuff. And I'm like, yo, when I have to refinance, I'm definitely looking to this guy. And I think the other one for me was when Max Maxwell came. And he kind of what Shotty said when he spoke to us, like, I had no idea that he knew us. And then he was talking like, yo, I love y'all guys. I've been watching y'all from the beginning. He was like, and like he said, when he came in here, he was like, yo, this is where it's happening. I love y'all even more because y'all took imperfect action. This isn't perfect, but y'all said, I don't care, we doing it anyway. And I was like, yeah, I like this guy. Yeah, it was one of those moments.
Shotty, talk to me.
Yeah, I like. I had a couple. I take a little bit from everybody's interview. Derek Falcon, episode 11. That's one of my favorites. And he said a lot of stuff, but he was talking about like creating different revenue streams. So every revenue stream that we just named, and when he said like one of the biggest mistake is like you had 7 streams. Every millionaire has 7 streams, but it's like a lot of times like you think you have to have 7 different things going. He's like he doesn't need 7 streams to become 7 different hustles to become wealthy. He can create 7 streams off of one branch. So that's kind of like with us. Like we don't need 7 different businesses to create 7 different streams. It all comes from one stream, Earn Your Leisure, and then we could just branch it off from there. And that's a lot easier to grow laterally as opposed to just picking random stuff like out the sky. So that actually, made a lot of sense to me. And like I said, that's kind of like our blueprint that we're using with Earn Your Leisure. It's just creating multiple streams of income off of one thing, which is a lot easier than just doing, hair and this and a bunch of other stuff. So that for sure. And then also Wall Street Trapping, when he said like, what's your freedom price? And that really, I heard that before, but it's just like really like just made me really think like, all right, what's the number that I'm going to need to really be financially free? And then like, kind of work towards that. So yeah, but like I said, there's so many different gems that I've gotten. I learned, and I'm sure Troy learns as well from all of our guests. It's really just, that's the best part for me.
Yeah, and I think you guys are going to continue to be successful because you like eating your own cooking. Like the stuff you serving other people, like you eat them too. So I'm sure some of the questions.
Well, it's crazy because it's like
Maurice
Clarett. I don't know if you're a football fan, you know about Maurice Clarett. He's a legend, Ohio State legend. And he was telling me he's a big fan of the podcast, and he was like, I was jealous of you guys, and I'm like, why you say that? And he was like, you read this book called Dale Carnegie wrote a book. It's a legendary book.
When Friends Influence People.
No, Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. So in that book, he interviewed like 25 billionaires or like 25 of the richest people at that time because he worked for, I think, Carnegie, the steel guy, but he worked for like 25 years and didn't get paid. And his whole thing was like, don't pay me, just introduce me to all of your friends and colleagues, and I'm going to interview them. And he was like, he compiled 25 years worth of interviews and wrote that book. And that book is like one of the most successful business books of all time. Right. And it's like, he's like, you doing this in 1 year, like you same principle, like you getting to meet all these people and you're learning from all these different people. And he's like, that's like crazy, like that's worth so much more than any sponsor can pay you or anything like that, just to get that information and develop relationships with these people. And I'm like, that's really deep that he said that, and it's true, because it's like now we need hard money loans. I just call my guy Lord of the Slums. Like, you know what I'm saying? We need trucking, call Alex. Vending machine, call Chief. Like these are all experts.
Stocks.
So I just hit people and we just develop relationships and we learn. So for me, that's the dopest part. It's just to actually be a student.
That's a fact too. And it's like now, like we even got our young boys around us. They like, yo, that vending machine episode, like I gotta get one. How do I'll plug you. Like let's talk about it. Like so now we see the younger generation, like they actually taking the information and trying to apply it. And I'm like, damn, like we in our 30s, but like if we had known that at 20,
for sure,
we'd have been out of here. But like now they have the opportunity to be out of here. So watching them apply the information and try to be successful in those in different avenues that they never thought of, like that's, like I said, that's worth more than any sponsor could ever pay us.
I love it.
Because that's legacy.
Yo, last question. I gotta run to the airport.
Yeah.
I like to make predictions on the podcast where I want to know where you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, so we can watch this 5 to 10 years later, and we were like, "Yo, I remember we was at the table. They said it. I got it on tape.
Yeah, I mean, the growth that I want to see Earn Your Leisure is I really want us to be like, I always say, like the Breakfast Club of business, where hopefully we can get to a point where we're putting out interviews every single day, like a Joe Rogan or Breakfast Club. And I feel like if anybody has anything that they want to present as far as business, or it's like, you got music, you got to go to the Breakfast Club. Yeah. It's like if you're an entrepreneur, you have to come to Earn Your Leisure and make it like a platform, and globally too. That's another thing too, is like I feel like we have a large presence all over the world, so we don't want to limit ourselves to just America. So we want to take this on the road and hit London and hit Canada and hit Africa and all of that, and just be a resource to the entire globe.
We have to become the must-stop shop. You know what I'm saying? And in addition to that, I see us doing programming, because that's something that we do already. Like I said, that it started from that program, but programs throughout the United States, throughout the world, really, where we can get kids at a younger age, right? Because like I said, these young guys that we're around now, they're in their 20s. But imagine if I would have taught you this at 10. You see what I'm saying? Like that changes the trajectory for generations.
For sure.
And there's nothing that can stop us because the information is available. You know what I'm saying? So I know that schools are not going to change curriculum because there's a lot of money to be made in changing curriculums. So if we have a platform like this and we're doing it independently, nobody can stop us. Like nobody can stop us.
I love it, man. We might have to do Social Proof New York. We might have to put that play together. But, man, gentlemen, I appreciate you. I cannot wait to actually sit in your session and hear you really expound for 50 minutes on how to build an effective monetized podcast at The Real Social Proof. So
it's going to be on.
Let everybody know how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, earnyourleisure.com is our website with all of our information, and then our Instagram handle is Earn Your Leisure, Facebook Earn Your Leisure, Twitter Earn Your Leisure,
email same thing. Troy at Earn Your Leisure.
Info at Earn Your Leisure. Troy's Instagram is Troy Millings.
Yeah.
My Instagram is Rashad Bilal. So we just keep it easy.
Yeah, we are who we are.
I love it. Make sure you follow my boys, all right? And make sure you see my episode on Earn Your Leisure. That's really one of the proudest moments I got.
That's going to be a big one.
All right, y'all. Follow my boys. Out of here.
Peace.
Peace.